A 21-year-old American pilot looked out of the cockpit of his B-17 bomber. Just a few feet above his right wing was a German fighter jet. The B-17 was in poor shape, with only one of its 4 engines still working properly, a fuselage riddled with holes from anti-aircraft gunfire, and an incapacitated crew unable to man the defensive weaponry. The bomber was a sitting duck. The B-17 was en route to England, returning from a bombing run over northern Germany. It was December 1943. The aircraft was struggling to stay in the air and hadn't been able to keep up with the other B-17s returning to base. The control systems were damaged, limiting the pilot's ability to operate the plane. When the bomber flew near a German airfield, a fighter pilot hopped into his Bf-109 and took off to track down the bomber. Franz Stigler had already taken down 2 bombers that day and needed just one more kill to earn the Knight's Cross Award. It didn't take long for Franz to catch up with the B-17, and when he did, he couldn't believe what he saw. Never before had he seen a plane in such terrible condition, yet still flying. Franz could see the body of the tail gunner who'd been killed in combat earlier during the flight. He could see wounded and freezing men inside the cockpit and fuselage. Franz perched his plane just above the right wing. The American pilot, Second Lieutenant Charles Brown, watched in horror, expecting his plane to be shot down at any moment. But the Bf-109 maintained position. It didn't fire. Franz motioned to Charlie, indicating not to worry. He wasn't going to shoot them down. In fact, Franz escorted the B-17 all the way to the German border, protecting it from potential German fighter aircraft and air defense systems. When they reached the North Sea, Franz made eye contact with Second Lieutenant Brown, gave a salute, and peeled away. Charlie and his surviving crew members miraculously made it back to England. He never forgot that day when his enemy could have easily sent him to his death, but for some reason spared him. More than 40 years after the encounter, Charlie decided he had to find answers about why the German pilot had not shot him down. In 1990, he got to meet the man who had shown incredible mercy, Franz Stigler. The two talked, laughed, shared stories, and showed pictures of family. They became the closest of friends in their old age. Stigler said he'd actually come close to firing on the bomber back in 1943, but he was surprised when no one had fired at him using the bomber's defensive guns. That's when he realized how bad the bomber's status and the crew's condition were. He saw the injured crew and he decided he could not shoot down men in such a defenseless situation. Franz risked being court-martialed and executed by the German military for assisting the enemy. He sacrificed the recognition of the Knight's Cross honor. But ultimately, listening to his conscience, he chose not to commit what he determined would be an act equal to murder, and that, to him, was the ethical choice. Franz recalled thinking during the encounter, "I cannot kill these half-dead people." He said, "It would be like shooting at a parachute." When we think of the horrors of World War II, the atrocities committed by the Nazi government, it may not be apparent that not all Germans were the animals that targeted civilians and sought annihilation of entire groups of people. Many of them were just as human as we are. For Charlie Brown, Franz Stigler was nothing short of a hero. Charlie and Franz both passed away in 2008. In a book at his home, Franz previously had placed a note. It read, "In 1940, I lost my only brother as a night fighter. On the 20th of December, 4 days before Christmas, I had a chance to save a B-17 from her destruction. A plane so badly damaged, it was a wonder she was still flying. The pilot, Charlie Brown, is for me as precious as my brother was. Thanks, Charlie. Your brother, Franz." Once enemies, in the end, family. 3-Minute Virtue posts a new video every Monday morning. To see the previous video, click on the link that appears at the end of this video. If you know someone who would appreciate this video, click the share button to share it via email, text, or on social media. What would you do if you saw your enemy in a state of helplessness? Would you show mercy? Would you salute a broken and beaten crew wearing the other country's flag? Such decisions aren't easy, and Franz would likely recommend listen to your conscience.